Do you ever do something you're really excited about, but you did one thing wrong that kind of messed the whole thing up? Well, that kind of happened to me with this video. So I had the camera setting to photograph instead of video. And I guess you can still record video under the photograph setting. So my apologies if the video is not as good quality, but I can't repaint the painting. And I really want to share the second half of, creating this painting, bringing it to its final stages of readiness before I paint the edge and before I then glaze it and gift it. So I still wanted to share this video, and because I already have that part 1 out there. And if you haven't seen it, go check that out first and then come over back to this one and enjoy. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get started with some middle ground, background, foreground, all this kind of stuff, and just adding in details and having lots of fun bringing this to life. So I was trying to be a little bit more loose in that background area where you can see bits of the city of Okotoks, and I think I did it pretty successfully. I tend to get stuck in the details, and this time I was like, hey, let's just loosely represent it. Let's try that. And I think I did a pretty good job. I'm trying to be a little bit more, follow intuitive brushstrokes and allow them to be loose and representative rather than, go into detail when necessary. And it's not like I'm skipping a step or, being lazy, but it's just a matter of trying to represent something in fewer brushstrokes. And there's magic in that. I love paintings that have looser brushstrokes. And you might not realize that because my paintings tend to have a bit of confinement to them, and have a very line quality to them. It's kind of almost drawing like rather than painterly. So I am trying to expand that because that's what I'm drawn to myself. But have areas where they are more detail oriented and focused. So anyways, this is a really fun part. This is a really joyful aspect of painting for me, is being in this mode where you have things in place already. You're not making compositional decisions really. You're just highlighting, you're making things, you're adding the fun decorative part. It's like when you're making a cake, there's the, putting all the ingredients together and baking it, and then, putting the icing on, and those, you have to kind of follow fundamental steps. And then there's kind of the magic of decorating, and you kind of get to be a little bit more loose, even though there's still that kind of boundaries that you've created for yourself. But there's a looseness and a joy in this part where, especially for this piece, I get to play with color, and I just really have a lot of joy in it. This is from a photograph. If you didn't watch the first part, this is from a photograph that I took at a hospice in central southern Alberta. And I guess I call it central because I feel like Calgary area is kind of central, but I know that it's not exactly center of Alberta. But anyways, technicalities aside here, this was taken while my husband was in hospice, and I am gifting this to the hospice as they run on 50-50 donations versus government funding. So there's a lot of donations, volunteer time required to run this place. And let me tell you, what they gave to me far outweighs what this piece would be valued at. I'm so grateful to have been in that place with during that time, such a hard time, and they made it way more pleasant. I thought I needed to stay at home and take care of my husband at home and do that, be the nurse in his final days. And this was a better choice. So if you're in that stage where you're kind of wondering if that's what you should do, please consider, if you have the opportunity, hospice. If it's a good hospice, it's a really good choice. I was worried about, I guess, privacy and comfort and having a home feel, but this is part of why I want to gift this. This is something that I can do, and it's something that can live on there forever if they want. And it can be a thing that's really special in the space where it will reside. So one thing that, if you've already watched the previous video, my apologies, or maybe you don't remember, that's okay too, so perfect. That I was able to bring items from home. I could have brought paintings from home, but I really didn't want to do that. So this is where you might see a shift. There's certainly a shift in lighting, and that should have been a clue number one, but I was like, why is this lighting so weird? But this is where the shift happened, where I just didn't have the proper settings. Oh man, it can be frustrating when I'm not exactly technically challenged with these things, but I'm not really expert either, so please bear with me as I figure out how this thing works and all of that. And now I have my dog growling in the background. So I, for some reason, I was able to get the coloring great, but I was not able to realize the actual problem. But hopefully you can still enjoy this and it doesn't seem terrible, but I'm just, kicking myself right now. And I'll give you a little side view of, I don't know, I always like the first moment when you have the clean water and you're washing your brush for the first time. So I have 2 water jars in case you haven't followed me much or this is your first time watching. I always use 2 so that you have a clean water and you have a kind of dirtier water. And I always go into the dirtier water first so that I can kind of maintain a clean brush and just make sure that I've cleaned it well. This was also really fun right here where I added in some highlights on the tree, and I am taking kind of my own liberty in a couple ways. For one, there were 2 trees, but they were not in the location that I've placed them. They were spread out, and just for my composition, it felt like this would be a better choice. And actually what I find interesting about it is it's 2. And so that kind of has a symbolic meaning as well, I guess. And I'm going to add more warm highlights. This is a sunrise, and I'm using kind of a mop-like brush that allows me to kind of create sweeping effects that kind of blend in a bit better if you're trying to kind of add layers that blend without being able to blend with color, because with acrylic paint, it dries very quickly, so you can't blend with dried color. But you can create an effect that looks like it's blending. So I'll use maybe a fairly dry brush, or I'll have 2 brushes. You'll see me kind of swap between 2 brushes. So I have one brush that has the paint and the other brush has no paint on it, and I keep washing it in between, and I use it to kind of blend it out. So that's something you can try if you're painting and you're trying to figure out, hey, how can I create, a softened blend with my acrylic paints? Also, I love a small dot of pure color can just work really well. Like in the bottom left, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little spot little city lights where I added just a few dots along that city skyline part, and it just worked really well. I like it. Anyways, these clouds were really fun, a bit challenging, and the colors are just happy and comforting in some way. And I don't know, let me know in the description, or not in the description, I write the description. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Like what's a word that you would use to describe how this painting makes you feel. Like, it doesn't have to be one word. It could be a sentence. Sometimes I hate having to choose one word. It's like, okay, choose one word to describe this. I'm like, why one? Why can't I use a sentence at least? But it can be a good exercise, I guess, when you're trying to, what is the most, important word for the painting. I'm not exactly sure, but I hope that it helps somebody to feel I don't know, I guess you can't really change how a person feels, but you can make somebody feel happier or something like that. I guess you can help to bring peace. Original art actually does help to reduce stress. And, well, being in hospice is a stressful situation, whether you're the carer or whether you're the one at the end of your days. I mean, I can only imagine that side of things. I was the caregiver, not the person in the hospice. So here what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to bring it more towards the reference image. So I'm kind of, you might be wondering, why are you covering this yellow part? There wasn't really much yellow in the reference image. So I am trying to be a little bit more true to it, and just allow certain areas of yellow. So sometimes what happens with me, at least, and maybe for you or paintings you've seen, or when you've tried to create something, is you throw in something that's going to create contrast and excitement, like the yellow. And then you get so excited with it. It's so fun. It looks great. And then you add too much of it. And then it kind of takes away from that contrast and allurement by adding too much of it, right? You're just, okay, it's just a common part of the painting now. But by removing some of it, we make it exciting again. You know, we introduce it, I guess. And so that's what I'm kind of working on, creating these areas where it's pulled back, and so that it can shine in the areas where it does reside. And then, yeah, just fixing up some of these areas and playing around a little bit. It's okay to play. It's okay to, try one thing and say, okay, you know what, actually, that's not quite right. I need to kind of move things around, whatnot. So go for it. Have fun. Why not? This is your painting. Yeah, so I'm switching between different brushes right now. I'm using a smaller brush to create just like little details. So keep in mind what size of brush you're using. If you're trying to add small amount of detail, like use a brush. I mean, it sounds obvious, but oftentimes you might have this small brush and you're painting a really large area, and it's like, why am I using such a small brush? And I have learned that I've used too small of a brush in the past. Like, I've been told, okay, you need to use a bigger brush. And it's hard to get away from the little details and be more painterly expressive with just this tiny brush. So it's good to have some variety of brushes for sizes so that you can cover large space, or if you're just starting with smaller paintings, that works too. So just adjust accordingly. So looking back, and when you are painting, it's good to step back once in a while. Like sometimes we just have a long paint session. We do so many things. We make so many changes. And then we realize, we're like, wait a second, I've messed the whole thing up. What am I doing? So it's good to step back and just, okay, what's missing? Where's my eye going to that looks kind of off? And I was looking at my foreground and I thought, okay, these trees, the highlights on them are so similar to the highlights on the grass. And so I added some pink into them to kind of differentiate them a little bit. And I think that really worked. I had considered actually adding some blue to them, which could work too. That would really make them pop more and create contrast. So I'm putting my K Moyer on there, and the year. I've been convinced that adding the year is a good thing. And whether that's the 4 digits or 2 digits, you're just the last 2 years on there. That's what I've been doing, at least at this size of a piece. And it can't hurt even at a smaller scale to throw that in. Certainly putting on more information on the back of the painting is something I do as well. But I think it's not a bad idea to throw in the date. It can't hurt. And you might hear some growling in the background. There are 3 dogs around me. So signing it with a script liner brush. Love this. This brush is fantastic when I am doing those details, when I am working on a painting that I want to have those really, really detailed moments. Most of this piece did not require that. I was stepping away from it. I didn't feel it needed it. But for signing my painting, I definitely use this 100%. I used to use an angle brush and that worked too, but it's a bit thicker. So this is nice if I want nice thin. I don't want it to be distracting. I want it to work with the piece. And as this actually kind of highlights that I was using the wrong thing right here. We've got some clarity. There you go. You can see what I've done with my signature. I make it nice and clear, easy to read. That's just my style. You can have your own style. I just want to give you a closer look at the areas of the painting. And yeah, I'm just taking a moment and thinking about that moment that I took the photograph. I feel like it's taking me back to it. There's definitely this warmth that I feel. Peace is another word that comes to mind. My word for this year is resilience and being brave. So I think that this piece actually embodies a lot of those things that I'm trying to kind of focus my year on as I heal and continue to live life and have joy in it. And yeah, all that's left is to work on the edges, paint those edges. I'm going to paint them black. I just want to make sure you guys can really see close-ups of this piece and all of that. So I don't always show it very well when I'm actually painting, so I want you to be able to see, get a feel for it. Let me know what you think in the comments, not the description. Oh my word. Good times. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you like this video or comment on it, it supports it that much more, but just being here is enough to make me happy. So thank you so much. There's a lot of more content. If you want to go check it out, don't forget to subscribe if this is your thing, if you're kind of interested in what I'm doing. And I look forward to sharing with you the reveal of this piece when I share it with the hospice. That's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really excited to see how they receive it, if they like it, what the reaction is, all of that. Who doesn't love a good reaction video? I love it. I love it myself. So hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for being here. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.